With Monster Hunter Wilds on the horizon, we're going back to Monster Hunter World to relive some of the best hunts and builds of the game. So with that, I'm Darcblade with one of the greatest builds for the lands. Now each episode is dedicated to just one build and are slightly different from the best of the best builds found on other videos. They tend to be more niche or focus primarily on damage or defense. But if you find these videos helpful or informative, consider leaving a like as well as subscribing to the channel, as it allows me to bring more content like this not only for Monster Hunter World but also for the upcoming Monster Hunter Wilds. In today's video we're looking at the Guardian build for the Lance. This is a Lance build that is basically dedicated to tanking, utilising its massive and effective shield to defend itself as well as your allies. But this build shouldn't also be disregarded when it comes to damage, as so long as you're triggering the Guardian skill, you'll find that this build can bring down monsters quickly. So for the Guardian Lance build, you'll need the Dragon Head Alpha, the Dragon Hide Beta, Dragon Claws Beta, Dragon Barbs Beta, and the Rhyme Guard Greaves Gamma. I'm also using a Challenger Charm, and for my weapon I'm using the True Fatalis Lance. This has a health regen augmentation attached to it, which I've upgraded once. The main reason for this is, with this build there is few times where we actually want to sheath our weapon. We want to keep the assault going, blocking attacks where we can, and having that upgraded health regen reduces the amount of times we need to sheath our weapon and heal manually should we be unlucky enough to take a hit thanks to not timing our guards and blocks. As for your mantles and specialist tools, these are down to personal preference. I've gone for a Rocksteady mantle and temporal mantle for extra survivability. Now, when it comes to the decorations, there are a lot you need. First of all, I've gone for Guardian Jewels to max out the offensive guard skill. I've then gone for attack jewels to get attack boost at least until level 4. I've then gone for a diversion jewel for a point in the provoker skill, a shield jewel for a point in guard up, critical jewels to max out crit boost, a double challenger jewel to max out the agitator skill, iron wall jewels to max out the guard skill, expert jewels to max out critical eye, tenderizer jewels to max out weakness exploit, medicine jewels to max out recovery up. Again, we've gone for recovery up here, but you could replace this if you wanted with protection decorations. I've gone for recovery up to enhance how much health we get back with the health regen augmentation on our weapon. And then you'll have some optional jewels. I've gone for jumping jewels for some points in evade extender, which helps the quality of life and the slow movement speed of the Lance, and I've also gone for a Destroyer Jewel for a point in Partbreaker, but this can be dropped if you so wish. As for the decorations on the mantles, I've gone for a few attack decorations to boost up the attack boost skill. So if you've done what I've done here, you'll have a build with 200 health and 200 stamina, regardless of if you've eaten at the canteen. This also eliminates the need for the health boost skill. This is all thanks to the Fatalis set bonus, which we'll talk about later. You'll then have a raw attack of 913, which can potentially be higher when certain buffs like agitator are in effect. You have a decent chunk of purple sharpness with 25% base affinity, which can be 85% when all your buffs are active and you're attacking monster weak points thanks to weakness exploit and again agitator. You'll then have a dragon rating of 120 with high elder seal, and you have a strong defense of 1121 that is strong against water, thunder and ice, but unfortunately weak to fire and especially dragon. So as for the skills, first of all you'll have critical eye at level 7. Critical eye is a skill that increases the base affinity of a build, helping negate the negative affinity found on the Fatalis Lance. You'll then have agitator at level 7, a buff that kicks in whenever a monster becomes enraged. When this is the case, we'll gain increased raw attack and base affinity. And as we can easily control when a monster becomes enraged thanks to the whole flinch shot mechanic found in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, agitator can almost be activated on demand. You'll then have guard at level 5, increasing the effectiveness and how much stamina we use when we're actually blocking monster attacks. To be honest, if you're fighting weaker foes than say Fatalis, you can drop points in guard if you want for more offensive skills. You'll then have attack boost at level 4, which can potentially be level 6 when we're wearing our mantles, increasing the raw attack of this build, and at level 4 or above grants us a bonus 5% base affinity. You'll then have stun resistance at level 3, a byproduct of the armor we're wearing, but prevents all stun effects against our hunter. You'll then have recovery up at level 3, which like I said you can drop if you want in favour of divine blessing at level 3, but recovery up grants us increased healing from not only our potions, but also the health regen augmentation, which is the main reason I've taken this, as the goal is not to sheath our weapon and instead continue an assault against a monster blocking attacks, and should we get hit we can heal ourselves back by attacking monsters. You'll then have critical boost at level 3, which is a skill that allows our attacks to deal increased damage when they crit a monster, but only applies to the raw portion of a build, not the elemental or element portion. You'll then have weakness exploit at level 3, granting us bonus affinity when we're attacking monster weak points. By default this is 30%, but should the monster weak point be tenderized first through clutch claw attacks, this can be up to 50%. And as the lance can easily target monster weak points, it's a weapon that can really utilize this skill well. You'll then have peak performance at level 3, which is a result of the Rhyme Guard Greaves Gamma. This is a skill that when we have full health, grants us increased raw attack. Peak performance is also another reason why I've gone for the recovery up skill and a double health regen augmentation on the Fatalis Lance, as being able to heal back our health quickly to full health enables us to activate this buff more easily than sheathing our weapon and drinking a potion. You'll then have Offensive Guard at level 3, which is a skill that when we block an attack at the last moment, at the right time, we'll gain a percentage bonus to our raw attack. As this is a percentage bonus as well, this is very powerful. Of course, learning the timing on monster attacks and blocking at the right moment takes a little bit of time and skill, but it's well worth it, especially if you want to main the lance. You'll then have some optional skills and quality of life skills such as Evade Extender at level 2, which increases the distance at which we dodge and evade, and in the case of the lance, hop. This alleviates the slow movement speed slightly with the lance, so it's a quality of life skill. You'll then have Quick Sheath at level 2, a byproduct of the armor we're wearing, but it is still useful. If on the off chance we do need to sheath our weapon, it basically increases how quickly we can do this. You'll then have Part Breaker at level 1, which is a skill that allows us to break monster body parts more easily. The main reason I've taken this is because I have been using this build against Fatalis and having a point in Part Breaker adds a little bit of comfort when it comes to breaking the horns. So you can drop Part Breaker via the Destroyer decoration if you so wish. You'll then have Evade Window at level 1, a byproduct of the armor we're wearing. It's not really that useful, but grants us a slight increase in our invincibility frames when we perform dodges, hops and such. You'll then have Guard Up at level 1, which allows us to block unblockable attacks, except for some scripted ones, such as Alatraon's Escation Judgment. And finally you'll have Provoker at level 1, which causes monsters to target us more than our allies. And whilst this doesn't mean that we'll have aggro all the time, it definitely helps keep the attention a little bit more off of our allies. It also adds to the whole Guardian gimmick behind this build, as we are trying to protect others. Anyway, as for the set bonuses, you have 2 of them, both attached to the Fatalis Legend. For wearing 2 pieces of the Fatalis armor, we'll get the Inheritance set bonus, which allows us to break the level cap on certain skills. With this build, it's only really affecting one skill, which is the Agitator skill, allowing us to get it to level 7 instead of just level 5. But for wearing 4 pieces of the armor set, you'll get the Transcendence set bonus, which gives us 2 benefits. First of all, it lets our health and stamina get to 200, regardless of the health boost skill, or if we've eaten at the canteen or not. But on top of that, you'll also get the True Razor Sharp skill as a result of it, severely reducing the sharpness loss when we're attacking monsters with our weapon. But every build out there, even the best of the best builds, have pros and cons. No build is absolutely perfect. When it comes to this Guardian Lance build, one of the biggest pros for it is its damage output, its raw damage output, able to bring down monsters quickly regardless of their elemental or element resistances. The second pro for this build is its defensive capabilities. Now whilst it doesn't have a lot of defensive skills per se, having maxed out Guard, Guard Up and Offensive Guard, they all synergize well with one another, not only granting you a strong defense, but when blocking at the right time, will also boost your offense. And the final pro is the health regen on this build. Thanks to having a double health regen augmentation and recovery up, we're able to restore our health from simply attacking a monster rather than having to sheath our weapon and drink a potion manually. Of course, when you've taken severe damage, it is probably more advisable to sheath your weapon and take a max potion, but for little hits or moderate hits, just attacking the monster with these skills is enough to normally recharge your health and thus trigger peak performance, granting you even more damage. But of course there are cons. The biggest con for this build is being greedy. What I mean by this is trying to activate Offensive Guard all the time. If you're not sure of a monster's attack pattern, and like I said, you get greedy, you can mistime the Offensive Guard, thus taking a hit, which can put you at risk. Sometimes it's better to just block an attack normally than risk going for the Offensive Guard all the time, especially if you're not used to the lance. And the second con is, unfortunately, there may be times, especially in prolonged fights, where you would experience sharpness issues. For the most part though, it's not too big an issue, but it's something to be aware of. And so, there we have it, that is the Guardian build for the lance. A strong build that synergizes defense and offense together. Its defensive skills and health regen skills all feed into one another and bolster your already decent attack. making this one of the stronger lance builds out there that is incredibly fun to play, especially if you like to use offensive guard. But what are your thoughts? Please leave a comment down below, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you the Guardian Lance build for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.